Hello, hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Mostly Accurate. I am your host, Monika, as always. And this is the show where I do the research, you do the judging, and together we make sense of a world that clearly needs adult supervision. If you're new here, welcome. This podcast is basically what happens when you mix true crime, mom life, and my unfiltered mouth into one big chaotic casserole. If you've been here before, well, you already know the vibes: unhinged, caffeinated, and somehow still relatable. Today's episode is stacked. We've got more cruise ship drama, so messy that it should come with its own life jacket. A fishing trip documentary that had me questioning every boat I've ever seen. And of course, my mom moment, where motherhood once again proves that she can be heartwarming and disrespectful within the same 10 minutes. So get comfy, grab your beverage, ignore your children for exactly 30 to 40 minutes. They'll survive because Mostly Accurate is clacked in, mic'd on, and ready to cause a little chaos. Let's get into it. Okay, friends, buckle up and maybe rethink that family fun cruise Groupon you've had sitting in your inbox because today's stories are just kind of I don't know, a lot going on. It's giving Dateline, it's giving CSI, Caribbean Edition, and definitely not giving you all you can eat shrimp bar. So, here's what happened in today's current event. We're going to get into the details of this case because there is a lot. And every time you think you've heard the worst part, another detail drops and it's like, surprise, it just got weirder. So, what are we talking about? We're talking about Anna Marie Kepner, 18 years old, Florida cheerleader, senior at a small Christian school, literally weeks away from graduation. She's bright, she's bubbly, she had her boating license even before she had her driver's license, which honestly feels very on brand for a Florida teen. So, she's just a go-getter kind of a person. She wanted to join the Navy and eventually become a canine officer. So this girl, she definitely had plans. She was going somewhere. So she goes on a family vacation. She goes on a 6-day carnival cruise with her dad, her stepmom, and her step siblings. So just a normal family vacation, right? Sun, ocean, unlimited ice cream machine, and, all the basics. But on November 7th, she is found dead in her cabin, not just passed away mysteriously. The details are extremely disturbing. Anna was found under her bed, wrapped in a blanket, and covered by life jackets. Someone tried to hide her, basically using things that literally float on water. Make it make sense. I whatever. So the Miami-Dade medical examiner puts her time of death around 11:17 a.m. And because all this happened in international waters, the FBI is now involved. And, when the FBI gets called in, it's not just tragic accident territory anymore. This is serious. And here's where things take an even darker turn. Court filings reveal investigators are eyeing her 16-year-old stepbrother as a possible suspect. Yep, the family vacation just turned into a true crime episode. And listen, the red flags, yeah, they were waving like Walmart on Black Friday. An ex-boyfriend came forward saying that the stepbrother once tried to climb on top of Anna during a FaceTime call while she was asleep. I'm sorry, what's this now? If that were my kid, we wouldn't be going on vacations. We would be going to therapy or court or I don't know, both. Investigators are testing the life jackets, the blanket, and basically anything in the cabin that could hold DNA. So early reports suggest that she may have died from asphyxiation, specifically the type of asphyxiation that would be caused by a chokehold with bruising on the sides of her neck. That is not something you accidentally do while folding towels. That is by force. So this part is really important. No charges have been filed yet. Autopsy and toxicology reports are still pending, and the FBI likes to move at the speed of do not disturb us until we have a full folder of evidence. Meanwhile, the family dynamics. Court documents from an unrelated dispute mention the investigation and is giving like this family has a lot going on energy. The public is understandably furious and heartbroken, and the community held a memorial where everyone wore bright colors because that's how Anna lived. She was a part of like this community and she was a genuinely beautiful, bright spirit. But the case itself, still wide open, still under FBI investigation, and still raising a huge question like, how does an 18-year-old girl end up dead under a bed on a cruise ship with life jackets piled on top of her and nobody noticed anything? Like, it just doesn't make sense because someone knows something and eventually the evidence too. Now, look, when Carnival says adventure at sea, I'm pretty sure they meant like snorkeling and karaoke contests, not, crime scene investigations in cabin 1712. This is the kind of story that makes you rethink every cruise that you've considered. Like, I don't even want to be in a pontoon boat after this. And you know that like the passengers also were pretty stressed. Like, imagine being on the deck and like sipping your like, I don't know, daiquiri or something. And then suddenly the FBI walks past and they're like, ma'am, we need you to step aside. Also, like, have you seen anything suspicious besides the buffet hot dogs? Honestly, this cruise went from like Love Boat to Law and Order in like 3 seconds. So, yeah, that's what's going on there. By the time you hear this, I don't know if more evidence has come out. I do like to record a little bit ahead of time, but I don't know. This one's crazy. Like the family dynamics, unanswered questions, and this like whole tragic loss really deserves some real answers. So, coming up next, a quick palate cleanser because that segment was heavier than the cruise ship's chocolate fountain at midnight. All right, friends, welcome back. This is Tea Time, the segment where we steep the drama, sip the truth, and in today's case, try to understand how a peaceful mother and son fishing trip somehow turned into a murder investigation, a missing boat, an inheritance feud, and one extremely suspicious life raft. Because Netflix just dropped the Carman family deaths. And let me tell you right now, this case has everything from money, family drama, gunshots, boats that sink mysteriously, autism being misunderstood left and right, a missing mother, a dead grandfather, and an insurance claim that was giving very much like, sir, please just read the room. So pour your tea because you're going to need it. Okay, so let's just get started. Nathan Carman and his mom, Linda, often took mother son fishing trips. Cute, wholesome, super sweet until it wasn't. They head out from Rhode Island in 2016 and they just never come back. A family friend named Sharon is like, hello, they should have been home like, I don't know, hours ago. She calls the police call the Coast Guard, and suddenly this fishing trip is like a full blown maritime emergency. The search goes on for 6 days. Then, 8 days after they went missing, Nathan is found floating on a life raft a full 100 miles south from Martha's Vineyard, alone, alive, and without his mother. And when you listen to the actual rescue call, Nathan sounds calm, not so much like I've been on a life raft for 8 days calm, more like Target customer service on a Tuesday calm. And he immediately asks if they've found his mother, which honestly, it does feel genuine. Like it sounds genuine, like he's got concern. Maybe, if he's alive, he thinks his mom is alive too. But then the public sees the photos. Nathan clearly is in photos. He jumps off the life raft. He swims to the boat. He physically grabs onto a rescue ring, and then he pulls himself up a ladder like he's doing just a light CrossFit warm up or something. And then, the cargo ship captain literally says Nathan seemed healthy, no dehydration, no hypothermia, which I get dizzy standing up too fast. So like 8 days at sea sounds like completely dramatic. I just don't know how you would have that type of energy and stamina being on a life raft for 8 days, not moving your legs or not walk. I don't know, just surviving for 8 days. But anyway, then Nathan later on, he starts doing interviews about his rescue. And at first, he's like, heroic son survives, like the ocean nightmare vibes. And then the vibes just shift really hard. So why don't we go back and talk about the family? Let's go back because this family, I mean, you guys, they've got a lot of layers. We'll just say that. There's a lot going on with this family. Linda, Nathan's mom, grew up in a home with violence. She was fiercely independent, like sometimes to a fault. And then there's her dad, John Chakalos, which was Nathan's grandfather. So I don't even know, like, where to start. I guess we're going to go way back. There was a murder. So on December 20th, 2013, John, Nathan's grandfather, is found dead. Gunshot wound to the head. No struggle, large caliber weapon. Weird choice if you're trying not to like alert, the entire neighborhood. Linda tells police that she thinks it was a mob hit, which girl, what? Like, that's super random, but okay. And then when it comes to money, because of course there's always like money, that's the root cause of a mob hit, obviously. Or I don't know, I guess there could be other causes of a mob hit too. But anyway, so after John's death, there's 4 sisters, okay, Linda included. They were all set to receive like $25,000 a month from this trust. And they were supposed to like split all of the property and like all of John's things, which equated to like $42 million. Like, holy shit, that's a lot. So eventually the whole family like starts pointing fingers at guess who? Nathan, because the wealthy, powerful family needs a scapegoat. And could that just be Nathan? Okay, so he was different, but he was autistic, often misunderstood, and I guess the easiest target, really, in my eyes. But I don't know. I guess I'll let you guys make your own opinions on that. So, Nathan's dad insists that Nathan could never have hurt his grandfather. They were close, but detectives think that his interview responses like gave a bunch of red flags. Meanwhile, those red flags might have just been his autism, and being misunderstood by people who just like don't get it or don't understand it. And I'm sure this happens all the time. So the investigators find a receipt for an assault rifle after they do like a search warrant on Nathan's house or apartment or whatever it was. And it's the same caliber used in the murder of John Chakalos. So I don't know. Coincidence? Maybe not. But this rifle it was never recovered. Is it suspicious? Absolutely. Conclusive? No. Circumstantial? Also, absolutely. And then, oh Lord, Nathan once asked an attorney a hypothetical question like, who needs to die and in what order for me to inherit money? Sir, please. Not even a Google search bar deserves that amount of stress. There's also like this moment where he and Linda, him and his mom, are seen at church after John's murder. And supposedly or allegedly, Nathan is kneeling at the altar for like 5 hours begging for forgiveness. 5 hours. I can't even like kneel to tie my shoes for 5 seconds. I don't know. 5 hours. That's intense. And then also like whoever like allegedly said that they saw him for 5 hours, like what were you doing for 5 hours like in the church? It's just a strange thing. Unless you like it was the priest, which maybe it was. But I thought priests are supposed to be like keepers of all secrets. So I don't really know how that works. Anyway, all of this sets the stage for suspicion. So by the time that the fishing trip happens, the family's already primed to think that he did it, right? All right. So let's fast forward like 3 years. We'll go back to the day that Linda disappeared. Or I guess fast forward to the day that Linda disappeared. We're doing a lot of time jumping, okay? Present day, back to 2013. Now we're in 2016. Okay. Nathan tells police after he's been recovered from the ocean, basically, that the boat sounded funny. He says he opens the hatch, sees 2 feet of water, does not call for help, does not have his mom put on a life jacket because she would panic, is what he says. I mean, sir, she would panic either way. But then he claims that the boat basically like dropped from under him, like Titanic style, except nobody was playing violins. And then 2 weeks later, Nathan files an $85,000 insurance claim for the boat. And honey, this is the move that destroys his life. Like he totally effed this one up because without the claim, he walks free. With the claim, insurance investigators start talking to the marina. And some people saw him at the marina, and this guy at the marina tells them like, "Oh yeah, we saw Nathan the day before drilling holes in the trim taps for like an hour." Excuse me? You were where? Drilling what? You know what I mean? The day before that you're supposed to take this trip. So I don't know. Because apparently those holes could allow water to get into the boat. So, like, what was he doing? Like, was he trying to prepare the boat so everything was safe for his trip with his mom? And the reason that this matters is because Nathan was like extremely systematic and hyper focused. If he thought something needed adjusting, he could have just been like, they're tinkering on it. But autism can manifest as intense fixations or like hyper focused behaviors. So it could have just been that and not like criminal masterminding. You know what I mean? But anyway, so did he sabotage the boat? Did he think he was repairing it? Was it intentional or impulsive? Netflix is basically like, pick your theory, girl. Okay, so next up, the weirdest part. The Coast Guard does a drift analysis. So he's been rescued. Nobody knows where his mom is. And from where they picked him up on the life raft just didn't make sense. So the Coast Guard does a drift analysis to determine how far and where the raft should have gone based on like the conditions of the ocean and the wind and all that. And their math says that the raft should have drifted one way, but Nathan was found 80 miles the other way. So does that look bad? Yes, it does. Is the ocean unpredictable? Also, yes. Have you seen Finding Nemo? The ocean is very messy. Prosecutors say that Nathan was only in the raft for a few hours. The defense says that's completely absurd. And honestly, both sound equally possible because drift science is barely science, I guess. It's more of like ocean astrology if you think about it in that way. And the fact that they're saying, he didn't look like somebody who had been on a life raft starving for 8 days also could bring the theory maybe he was not on that life raft for 8 days. All right, so let's look at this theoretical timeline a little bit more. Prosecutors argue that Nathan killed his mother right after they left shore and then just like drifted up and down the coast for hours waiting, to stage his rescue. But then, like, how? You know what I mean? It's national news. Every marina, fisherman, gas station, and boat nerd was like obviously on high alert. Like, his face has to be like plastered all over TV. His mother's face, obviously they're missing. This hyper planner waited for like the perfect moment to stretch when the entire eastern seaboard had his face all over Facebook and just everywhere. You know what I mean? 6 years go by. Okay, it's 2022. Ethan is arrested for his mother's murder, and this is murder at high seas. Very dramatic. The trial is coming. The evidence is weird and messy. Experts disagree on like everything from ocean science to autism to physics of climbing onto a boat or sinking a boat. And then in 2023, Nathan is found dead. He had committed suicide by his shoelaces, I guess. There was no note There was no warning. His mother is then legally declared dead. The investigation into his grandfather's murder is basically closed. All charges against Nathan at that point are dismissed, and the case ends very unsatisfyingly, heartbreakingly, and confusingly. Netflix calls it the Carman family deaths. I call it when generational trauma, untreated mental health, and $42 million all walk into a boat. At the end of the day, this case is a tragic mix of misunderstood autism, family dysfunction, generational violence, and a justice system that never quite knew what to make of Nathan. So, did he do it? Did he not? Did money poison everything, basically? Or did a lonely, mentally struggling young man get swallowed whole by circumstances that were just completely bigger than him? We may never know. Got half the family saying he did it, and then you got others saying he was just misunderstood. But one thing is certain, if anybody invites me on a fishing trip from now on, it's a hard no, babe. I'll stick to land and tea and coffee. You guys, this documentary though was super wild. I highly encourage you to watch it. It was a trip. And I don't remember hearing about this one, but I enjoy documentaries and true crime that makes me think. So this one was really good. Go check it out. Definitely a thumbs up. All right, guys, let's shift gears. We're gonna get into our mom moment, the part of the show where we just slow down a little bit, breathe, and acknowledge that somehow, for reasons unknown to science, I have been in an unusually good mood, like suspiciously good. Like, are the planets doing Pilates good or whatever it is? Like maybe my zodiac energy is finally aligning, and maybe Mercury isn't in retrograde for once. Maybe Venus is in my 12th house doing self-care headstands. I don't know. But lately I've just felt lighter, happier, and just, I don't know, more open, like the universe cracked a window and let some fresh air into my brain. Honestly, a huge part of my joy has just been my son lately. I don't know. He's just such a every day. I'm telling you guys, this kid is so smart. I know every mom says that, but no. Maddox is literally giving baby Einstein energy. He is learning so fast. It's like I'm living with a tiny professor who just waddles around saying random words that he picks up, like tree or dog or baby or bear, with his whole chest. He's so confident in his words, and he's mimicking everything. So I think he's also recognizing what the words mean, like shapes. He's got that on lock. Words increasing every day. Giggles constant. Yeah, the boy wakes up laughing like he's hosting some kind of internal comedy show in his head, and I love that so much. I love a happy baby. And this, oh my gosh, this just melted me. I saw him at daycare cuddling up to his favorite little baby. And oh, it was so cute. I dropped him off, and I went to say goodbye, and he must have gone around. We went around the corner, and I see him just because he still can't reach everything because he's in that in between phase. So he's jaws of lifing, trying to climb up on this couch, and his favorite little girl is on the couch, and she's a little bit older. But I walk over there and I help him, and I set him on the couch. I don't know if that embarrassed him or not, but I don't really care. Because he needed help. I didn't want him to struggle too much. He sits right next to his little girlfriend, and he takes his hand and he puts his hand on her, and it was the sweetest thing I've ever seen. My son, he was so gentle and so kind and so soft and so loving. And I'm not ready for him to leave me for another woman yet, but I realize that he is only, 14 months old, so I have time. But proud doesn't even begin to explain it. He shared his toy, and my heart was doing absolute backflips. It was It was like the sweetest thing. Yeah, motherhood. It's amazing in those senses. And on one hand, I'm witnessing my child blossom. And on the other hand, my elderly dog decided to express herself all over my house yesterday. Yeah, we had like a poopy Picasso situation happening. I don't know if it's just because she's so old or she lost her footing, got scared. I don't know. But it was everywhere, you guys, like everywhere. Like, what in the universe? I said, good mood, not mud bath. Like, I can't even explain it to you. But once I got the carpets all cleaned up and the stairs and everything and got her all cleaned up, she just bounced right back, tail wagging, happy, comfortable, back to her little routines. And it just like, I don't know. It really like hit me yesterday that we're in this like tender chapter of my dog's years. This is where the messes get bigger and the moments get softer and time just starts feeling more precious. And even though it was like super gross, like disgustingly gross, I'm grateful that we still like have these moments with her. Like she's still here, she's still ours. And, we still have a little bit more time, more cuddles, more naps, more love. Like she is 14 years old and I'm just thankful we get her for Christmas this year. It's just hard when your pets get older and it's just not fair to say goodbye to your pets. And I think we can all relate to that. So that was a little bit about my week. There seems to be some sickness going around at daycare and I feel like we've been just like in the clear and I've loved being in the clear. Maddox has been feeling so good. He's been in good spirits. So yeah, I'm just thankful that I've been able to maintain like a positive mood through this entire week because it's just been crazy and busy and I don't know. The sun is shining, my baby boy is thriving, my elderly dog is fighting, and life is just giving me these tiny reminders to find joy in these like messy situations. If you've had your own chaotic chapter, just know, it's okay to laugh, to cry, to carpet clean, and to celebrate every little beautiful, ridiculous moment in between. It is what it is, and we just got to keep pushing on through the next day. All right, friends, that marks another episode of Mostly Accurate, where the stories are wild, the commentary is questionable, and somehow we still manage to unpack it all while juggling real life, mom life, and everything in between. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today through the cruise ship chaos, the fishing trip madness, and, the proud mom heart explosions, the daycare cuteness, and my elderly dog's very unfortunate carpet situation. If nothing else, at least you know that you're not the only one living in organized chaos. If you laughed today, if you felt seen, or if you just needed somebody to keep you company while you're avoiding your responsibilities for a little bit, mission accomplished. You're welcome. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on whatever unhinged storyline we dive into next week, because trust me, it only gets weirder from here. And I'm definitely not calming down anytime soon. I am Monika. This is Mostly Accurate. And remember, drink your water, take a break when you can, and give yourself some grace because you're doing better than you think. You can follow me on all the platforms: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, at Mostly Accurate Podcast. Stream and listen to your podcast, Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, wherever it may be. Thank you so much, you guys. I will see you next time. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The facts are fuzzy. Our stories and opinions are just that, stories and opinions, not meant to be taken as professional advice.